All persons who wish to use the Coleman Media Center for podcasting purposes must watch this video in its entirety and sign a waiver indicating that you thoroughly understand the components of the video, in particular, which speech is protected and not protected under the First Amendment. City Councilwoman Carolyn R. Coleman for District 10 welcomes you to the Coleman Media Center. We are delighted to have you here and welcome your ideas, viewpoints, philosophies, and talking points for your podcast. Here at the Coleman Media Center, we have the utmost respect for our constitutional rights of free speech, but there is also speech that is not protected. It is important that the Coleman Media Center adheres to the guidelines set forth by the First Amendment in regard to unprotected speech. The Coleman Media Center reserves the right to deny any podcast topic that may be politically offensive, sexually offensive, racially offensive, or topics that may be defamatory. Therefore, all podcast topics must be submitted and approved by the governing body of the Coleman Media Center prior to use of the podcast studios. The First Amendment protects most speech, but certain categories are not protected. Those categories are speech that incites violence, speech that threatens national security, speech that threatens to overthrow the government, speech regarding true threats, defamation. Defamation is speech that harms someone's reputation through false statements. Speech integral to criminal conduct and obscenity. The Coleman Media Center recognizes that hate speech is generally protected by the First Amendment. However, the Coleman Media Center reserves the right to prohibit use of its facilities to podcast topics that are deemed as hate speech. In addition, the Coleman Media Center reserves the right to prohibit using profanity, vulgar language, and the word nigger or any variant of the word nigger in podcasts that originate from the Coleman Media Center. We thank you for watching this video, and we thank you for your cooperation. And once again, City Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman welcomes you to the Coleman Media Center.